Do you think black women have more respect for the white man than the black man?
Ooh, that's a good question again.
Yeah.
I would say yes. I
Okay.
think subconsciously, I would definitely say yeah. And I think it's because a lot of women are fixated on getting ahead, and we see white men, especially in professional spaces, they're the ones that have the power. So
Mm,
you kind of fall in line. It's kind of the way that you act at work versus the way that you act with your friends. You know that you can't say certain things around people who are in power, who can influence the money you have, your opportunities. And so
mm,
I think for sure, yes, there is more respect for white men.
sure. So almost there's a level of more respect for white men because if there was disrespect, there's a level of consequence.
Exactly.
So do you think that's a common
I think I know
question?
where you go with this one. Okay, go ahead.
So do you think black men need to have more of a consequence? And I don't mean physical, obviously, not physical, something physical, but more
Mhm.
of a consequence for black women for them to respect them. So, for example, if every black man said, "Look," um, and I don't think this would actually happen, but if every
Mhm.
black man was like, "Look, if we're not married and you're under my roof, then no children for you," I
Okay.
feel a lot of women would quote unquote respect him more because he's setting his boundaries. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think?
So, just to rephrase the question, you're asking if black men should hold black women more accountable, like giving them consequences for certain things that they do?
Do you think if do you think if they do that, that
Mhm.
black women will respect them more?
Consequences for what though? I think it's very specific about what it is that you are asking of black women, that
Mm.
the consequences would kind of vary. So you gave that example, but what is one that you feel is really impacting us now in society where black women should have more consequences?
Okay, so here's something that is standard that I have.
Okay.
Um, unless my life is in danger, I would never put my hands on a woman. And you get into arguments with your girlfriends or wives. Um, if a girl ever puts her hand on me, I've done this before. If she puts her hand on me, right,
Mhm. Mhm.
she's gone.
Oh, absolutely. I don't
And
see anything wrong with that.
do you know what I mean? Yeah, but not everybody has that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like and I've been very blessed, careers go well and everything like that. And it's happened where, okay, because there's more to lose,
Mhm.
there's more respect there because it's like you don't want to mess up the potential of what it could be. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So maybe that's the kind of consequence. What do you think?
So in that situation, you're saying that the woman respects you more because she has more to gain from you than a man who wasn't as accomplished in their career?
Well, just kind of more like if I'm the kind of person, and any man, if he's the kind of man that she desires,
Mhm.
and he says, "Yo, these are my standards," and especially if she feels, because at the end of the day, we don't need each other to survive, but if we want to have a family and move forward, we do need each other. Really, we
Yeah.
do need each other.
Mhm.
So, if a man is the kind of man that a woman desires,
Mhm.
and he sets his standards, how if her moving forward is important to her, I think she'll abide by those standards for him.
Absolutely. And I think it goes both ways. I totally agree with that because if I was a woman who let you walk all over me like a doormat versus someone who comes in and said, listen, this is what I accept, this is what I will not tolerate, I think that you
Mm,
would have more respect for me as well. So, yes, I think standards, boundaries straight across the board that will generate more respect for sure.
100%. I just want to read out a quick comment for Inesianza Kiara Moses. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. She says, in my opinion, women are empowered so much to be self-independent and can make them suddenly feel more superior. For
Mm.
example, when she earns more than him. I've seen an example like this in my circle of friends. Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. I've had the same conversation with my friends where some of them will say, if I make more than you can't call the shots in the relationship in any way. You're not going to tell me to do X, Y, and Z because you need to make more money. I disagree with that. I think that it's totally disrespectful. But yes, again, going back to feminism, women see that they have money, they can get status now. And so they feel like they can be superior to men. Yeah.
So here's the thing, because I don't think we will, and I don't think we should. Obviously, go back to a time where women couldn't earn and be independent if they so choose to.
Mm-hmm.
But then how do we incorporate that into, or do we incorporate that into building relationships and family with one another?
I
Because if
don't
a
think.
woman's not going to respect a man because she earns a certain amount, and she doesn't want to take the position of, handling the majority of the financial burden,
Mhm.
then how do we incorporate that?
Honestly, I think therapy, healing, because that's a mindset that needs to be shifted. You can
Mm,
take away someone's resources, but if that woman already has that type of mentality, it's going to surface in other parts of the relationship. And so I
mm,
think that when women they lead with their career and their independence, it's usually something that might be due to past trauma with men, could be some sort of father issue. Something is always going to be the root of that. And I think that that's what we need to figure out.
yeah. Um, I think I want to say there's a way, and there are always exceptions to a rule. So maybe this can't work for the majority. But
Okay.
Taylor Swift is a perfect example of, she's one of the most successful women on the planet,
Hmm.
one of the most successful artists. Yet she's always been in relationships and had partners, and it works perfectly fine for her. I think she's been married to her husband for like the past 8 years now, and she's way
Oh,
more successful than
Taylor
he is.
Swift?
She isn't she?
She's married? I never knew that. I always knew Taylor Swift to have relationship issues. I didn't know she was married.
Yeah, I think she's been married. I did a video on it like a couple of months ago. I think she's been married since 2016.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's less than 10 years. It's less than 10
Yeah.
years. But she has always had relationships.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think she's doing differently? Because she's a very successful woman. She's very independent and stuff.
Hmm.
But what do you think she's doing differently that maybe other successful women, especially our successful Black women, can
Yeah.
maybe take from her if they're looking to have that relationship with someone?
Um, the biggest thing is skin tone difference. I think because she's white,
Yeah.
she might have come from a family who raised her to be family and marriage minded. So even though she has certain levels of success, she realizes the importance of a family unit, the importance of having a man present. And I think that's where a lot of us as Black women are lacking. So I would say that for me personally, just from what I've seen in my experience with my friends, I think that's the root of a lot of it.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to challenge you on that, and only because I did a video kind of specific to this topic.
Okay.
Charlize Theron,
Mm-hmm.
very successful woman, right? Just like her, she's been perpetually single,
Mm.
and she's your blonde, blue-eyed white woman.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's race, because those two women are both very beautiful women, both very successful, but one is very different from the other, and one's getting different results. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
challenge you. Let's say I don't think race is a thing. What else do you think it might be, or
I don't think that we can negate race because that's not to say that that is going to be a one size fits all thing. So that doesn't mean that there are some
true.
white women who won't experience the same thing. I don't know Charlize Theron's background. Does she have a good relationship with her father? So those are all things to kind of factor in. But I think that's something that we are commonly seeing within our community because we know about the incarceration rates that men really aren't present. That's impacting us a lot because it's more common in Black culture than it is with other races.
Yeah, I think that's fair.